Sunday, and it's the
Oh,
European Ham Radio Show, and we're having as much fun backstage that we forget to press the go live button. Um, Welcome to everyone here on stream and all the guests. And let's do the usual thing. Ask how your ham radio week's been. Let's start with you, Bob. How has your ham radio week been?
I can't remember the first part of it, but for Friday and Saturday, I was up on the three mountains in Telemark, and yeah, had a huge fun. In fact, that was a really nice trip. Took a day off work to get ahead of everyone else that would go someplace for the weekend, and collected 12 summits on the airpoints. So that was fun. I have some pictures. I'm going to put these on my blog, so anyone's interested in it, they're going to show up on my blog at some point, or Facebook, or Instagram,
and I'm just going to put your blog in the chat right now. So
they're not, they're in the chat. They're not there quite yet. I'm just before getting into StreamYard here, I was sitting doing some log maintenance, and it turns out I haven't uploaded a log in 3 weeks. I think that's about as much fun as doing taxes. So yeah,
that's why you should use a logger that actually does that for you. But that's the one thing I miss from Hammers, actually, being able to automatically upload your logs somewhere.
I want to recreate Hammers, but do it right. I'm a programmer by trade. I could do that easily. I just need to find the time. I really want to recreate Hammers and do it right. That would be fantastic.
And while we're talking about, just a little bit off topic already after less than 2 minutes, but Stu, C5STU, he's made a logger that's cloud-based as far as I've understood. I just looked at his video barely. We should probably take a look at that sometime and see how that works.
Is that Steve like in temporary offline?
No, not Steve.
No,
Stu.
That's Stu. Oh.
G5 Stu.
Yeah, I looked at that, in fact. I want the extreme simplicity of Hammers when I'm out operating, and I felt that wasn't quite there yet. But if that if that thing has an open API, then maybe just a really simple Summits or Park client for that might be an excellent idea.
Yeah, and he's got a desktop and a mobile app for it. So perhaps we should get in touch with Stu and have him as a guest sometime, and he could talk about this.
Good idea.
Just to get started. But any more things in your ham radio week there, Bob?
I'm gonna tell you as I remember them. I can't remember anymore.
So awesome. How about you, Walt? I saw that he posted a video today, but I got off work at 3 a.m. this morning after too many hours. Let's just put it, too many hours at work. So I haven't really seen your video yet. But how's your ham radio week been?
had a good week. I started the week off. This is coming to a close. I got right at 3 weeks left in Poland, and I think the job's finished. So I won't be back for a while, and maybe come back here or there for some little stuff. But and I reflected back on the year and a half that I've been here and all the antennas I built. So the video was, and I've noticed, I looked through my log, almost all of my, with the exception of some sloper antennas, almost all of my DX back over to the States and, long path to New Zealand and Australia or whatever, have been with a vertical. So that was what my video was about. And early this week, I built a Rybakov, and I would just get up every morning and just, make contacts back to the States. I put a few of those in there. And then I took it down and put up a quarter wave ground plane vertical. And we were talking about Canada backstage here before. I made a Canada, Canary Islands, back over to Ireland or whatever. But what I was basically saying in my video was, everyone talks about takeoff angles and they model antennas. I know we're going to talk about antennas tonight, so it's great. But, and what have you, just from experience in the last year and a half here in Poland, I got the numbers in my logbook that show that my farthest, longest, and best DX contacts have been with vertical antennas. So I did that. I did the first 4 or 5 days with the Ribicoff, took it down, put the quarter wave ground plane up for a day or so. And I just, for the whole week, I've just been hunting DX and made some amazing contacts. But it kind of proved my point. You know, I get up and boom, North America, you know, and then put up the quarter wave Canary Islands. And so I think from a standpoint of antennas and horizontal antennas versus verticals, it kind of shows, and that's what I try to show in the video, that how good a vertical antenna. If you're building a small wire antenna, now look, I'd like to have a Yagi or a Beam or all that. That's much better. But just for the kind of the portable style antenna and a single wire antenna, how good a vertical is. So that's what I did. It went up today. It's doing well actually. But so that was my week, just playing with a vertical antenna. Now I don't know what I'm going to do this week. I have the quarter wave ground plane. I'm looking out at it now. It's still up. I got to make a decision over here next day or so what antenna I put up next. And maybe we can talk about that later. People can tell me and everyone's been saying Delta Loop. I haven't done a Delta Loop here, and I haven't done a sloper. So I'm going to do one of those two. But that's where I'm at. Like I said, 3 weeks to go here in Poland, and just having fun. We are really busy and working 6, almost 7 days a week and long hours. So the playing around and having time for radio is not a whole lot. So what I do is I go to bed super early and get up at 3 a.m. and that's the best time right now for DX anyway. So that's what I've been doing. So if anybody watches my video, most of those were filmed at very, very early in the morning as I got up. So that's it. I've talked enough. I talk too much anyway. I'm sorry.
I just noticed that you said you'd like to have a tower and a Yagi, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. I wish I could have it. It's like where I live, my home QTH, I can't because, it's kind of what we have in the States is an HOA, and it would be disrespectful to my neighbors too. I live in a historic district that, we're all old historic homes. So I wouldn't do that to people. I just have that little fiberglass HF 360, which as much as people hate that antenna, I love that antenna. It's been a great antenna for me.
I got one of those.
Yeah. It works for me. But I'm surrounded by salt water. You got to realize.
Yeah.
That antenna looks right out at salt water. So I mean, I'm 100 meters from the water. So.
Yeah, that helps. Of course, that helps. I tried actually putting the tower and Yagi idea through to my wife this week. I'm not getting a tower or a Yagi anytime soon.
You did it in the wrong order. You're not supposed to say, "Hey, honey, can I have a tower and a Yagi?" You're supposed to say, "Hey, honey, come look at my new Yagi and tower."
Yeah. And the thing is, that takes so long to get up there that you can't really do that, and no one notices what's going on until it's there.
Just pay a vacation for a week somewhere.
Hey, good ideas. Good ideas.
Yeah. I'm not married, by the way.
If Morten keeps listening to us, he's not going to be for long. So that's.
And
looks like someone else loves your antenna as well. There.
Walt. Oh yeah, Stuart's got one too, and I know we've talked. And mine is it's the Eurocom HF 360, but when you look on the rubber on the side says Moonraker, so it was probably made in Japan, but it's a UK antenna.
Yeah, mine's actually BB something, but it's the same antenna. Jeff says I could use it to dry clothes, and that's why I'm looking at a hex beam, just so that's been said.
Yeah. No. I get that. I like to have a hex beam too.
Yeah, let's wait for Morten's result, and then you just get one from him.
Oh, you're going to be in so much trouble.
Probably. So, Kjetil, how's your week been?
It's been busy. Been some work time. Quite a lot of work with some fun hackathons and some presentations and stuff like that, but I also made some time to go down to the beach and play with radios on the beach and wires. I guess there's some other guy in here that likes that as well. But yeah, I made a quarter wave ground plane antenna for 20 meters, and yeah, works fine. Plunk it down on the beach on salt water, good takeoff, and it actually tuned quite well down to 6 meters. Like every band from 20 to 6, I managed to get a QSO on it. So that was fun. Did 2 POTAs today. Managed to get one of them up to 10 bands. The other one just 8 because 6 meters died for some reason. Because the antenna wire snapped, but yeah, that's not relevant. So yeah, it's been a busy week. Lots of activations. Also sent a lot of QSL cards. So sorry to the people here that really want QSL cards. I'm one of the very few ham operators that's not up to spec on sending all the QSL cards out on time.
I have a big stack of cards that I need to return to send cards back, but
yeah, I actually ended up buying a printer, like a label printer, to send them, and I 3D printed a stamp so I could stamp that on it, because for some people that is insanely important. But then again, I ran out of QSL cards, so I had to print more QSL cards. I made like this stack of QSL cards that I sent up at the club when I visited it today.
Yeah.
So
the irony of me not being good at QSL cards is that I'm the QSL manager of my club.
And the wallpaper you see behind me here, that used to be one of my QSL cards. That's a Viking ship that was built in Norway in 2017. It sailed over to the United States and sailed down to New York just to prove that they could do it. Of course, they had modern things like radar and life rafts and everything that Vikings never really needed. But for compliance reasons, they had to have it.
The Vikings had Odin and Thor looking out for them. They didn't have to worry about radar. They were good to go.
Yeah, and life jackets and all the stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a fun radio week. Lots of QSOs. When I counted up the QSL cards, I don't send one per band, but I did like make some custom software, since we talked about that earlier, just to like make labels for them. It's easier than doing it manually. I found that like the guy that has the most QSOs with me this year so far has over 20 QSOs with me from different POTA and Fauna locations. So there are some insanely dedicated chasers out there, or hunters. So I'd like to thank those. It's like just so nice. 20 plus QSOs in half a year.
Yeah, Golf Zero Romeo Quebec Lima is one of those.
No, he only had 15 or so.
He's in pretty much all of my POTA activations.
Yeah, mine too. He turned up at Schlossfjell as well. He's a really, really nice guy, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Always there. So there are some voices you just recommend.
Yeah, Bert asks, where did you order QSL cards?
For me, I'm going to order them locally because we have some print industry here locally that is having issues, because lots of people are ordering them out of the country, or not QSL cards, but they're ordering prints from outside of Norway. So I'm supporting the local ones if they can give me a decent price. Somewhat decent. I don't mind paying a bit more to get it locally, but I'm not paying 5 times. So I haven't sent I have to redesign it first. I have a new photo and everything. So.
Yeah. And Tobias, your week?
Not as many contacts as Kjetil, but I guess nobody has as many contacts as Kjetil. Yeah, I was the one with the taxes, so that cost 2 days of happiness. But I carved out 1 day for ham radio activities, and I built a ground plane, a wire ground plane on the 7 meter fiberglass pole. And tested it, and I was still at my POTA spot in the middle of the forest, so the low takeoff angle was maybe not my advantage here in that location, but 50 meters was really crazy this week, or at least on Friday. I heard, I think, Indonesia very strong, China,
Yeah.
South Korea, and all these guys, they had a really mad pileup, and I could not really break through with my 10 watts on the IC705, but that's it's not that the band.
Yeah, I tried replying to Yankee Bravo Zero Alpha Radio today, ferry in Indonesia, with 5 watts and a compromised antenna. I'll get back to that. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead, Tobias.
Yeah, no problem. That's what's it all about. Yeah. So, and I also heard a lot of stations from Japan on 50 meters. Okay, one was running probably a kilowatt, but I mean it was like a QSO next door, like 5.9 plus 10. So it's apparently, at least reception wise, the antenna works.
Yeah, that's good. Just to get the segment out of the way here. I've been playing with antennas this week, or antenna more specifically. The Buddy Stick. The antenna that everyone seems to love. I spent 2 days perfecting the tune and the tap points on the coil at home, marking the counterpoise on where to put it. Took it out for a POTA activation. Couldn't get it to tune for anything. I spent an hour fiddling with that antenna, not being able to get the SWR. I had the nice dip on the Nano VNA, but the lowest point was about 3.
I've been promising you this probably for 4 or 5 months. When I get back to the States, I'm going to go to my storage unit and pull it out. I have that AL705 loop.
Yeah.
And if you think that aggravated you, I got something for you, brother. And you know what I'll do? I'll put a QSL card in there with it when I.
Yeah. When you make the contact, the 20,000 kilometer contact, right?
Yeah. But what I did, I went out on Wednesday. I had a little bit of time before I was going to pick up my kid at school, and figured I'd do a quick POTA activation. And that was when the antenna actually I couldn't get it to tune. I ended up running back to my car, picking up a 6-meter mast and a wire vertical, 20-meter monoband wire vertical. Ended up lugging 3 people on sideband. Started out good. Got Golf Zero, Romeo Quebec Lima, and his club call. He's always nice to come back with his club call as well. Then I got a Michigan station at 5.9 or somewhere close to 5.9. And then everything just died. I saved the activation with some FD4. And when I drove to the school to pick my son up, I had about 10 minutes. I posted the antenna up for sale online and sold it 2 hours later. But I am looking for that. I'm looking for a simple vertical coil-loaded multiband antenna that actually works. And
get a Slidewinder DX coil.
Yeah.
That is, I'm telling you, and I'll give it away now if anybody watches the video. I'm not trying to advertise my video, but my top 10, it's number 1, baby. That I like my Wolf River coil. There is this UK built, so you guys can get it quicker than I got it. But the Slidewinder DX, I'm telling you right now, I bought it. I've been offered, but I've never offered anything to try for free. But that is really, I'm telling you right now, that with the military whip on it is great. That is like,
I've actually been talking to this guy over here because he has one. So if I could borrow that and just try it before I figure out if I'm going to buy it, that'd be a good option.
I just bought a second one. You know what I'm going to do when I get back to the States? I've got 2 the brass, the copper, whatever, the brass stake I use in the sand and the mount.
Yep.
I have a duplicate of both of them, and I bought an American CB co-phasing for 11 meters. The harness set where the truckers, the truckers put 2 antennas on their mirrors. I bought one of them, and I'm going to take the 2 Slidewinder DXs, tune them individually for 20 meters, and put it a half wavelength apart. And I'm going to co-phase and aim at Europe with my 2 Sledwinder DXs. I'm giving away my secrets now. No one that copies my stuff is watching right now. I don't see him in the chat, but you know what I'm saying. But I'm going.
You got one right here, Walt.
No, you know what? Let's talk about that. And I tell you, the person that, and this happens to me every time. I like when I first made the Rubikov. I'm like, all right, I found this cool antenna, whatever. Let me go on YouTube. And first thing, boom, Tim, G5TM. He's got a video on you. So you know what I do? And I didn't copy him, but I do this with every antenna. I go and see who else has done a video on it, and I watch their video. And then when I do a video, and you do the same thing, Morten, and I appreciate it. It's flattering. It makes me feel great. I go, if you really want to see a good video on this, go look at Tim, G5TM. He's got so much good stuff about it. And that's great. But when you just blatantly, and there's a YouTuber that's like way bigger than me right now. Every time I put a video out, about 10 days later, he's got something very similar to what I did. And, I don't believe in coincidences. You know what I'm saying? And it's frustrating. It really is. Hey, look, I'd be all about it if he goes, hey, I saw Walt K4OGO do this, and I'm going to do it. Or I'll show you what he was doing wrong. He's an idiot, but this is the way you do it. I'd even be okay with that. You know what I mean? But don't just.
I'm kind of curious who that guy is, but we're not going to mention that on air, though.
Yeah, we'll talk offline.
Yeah. And Tobias, you got a question from Jeff here. If you're going to the ham for it, I guess that's Friedrichshafen. He's talking about.
Yeah, I answered him in the chat. It looks unlikely at the moment. We have an office move coming up in the day job, so dismantling a server room and packing everything up and unpacking, and I think it's exactly over this weekend, so let's see. But
it's becoming apparent to me that day jobs they're really interfering with ham radio.
Yeah.
Exactly. And happiness. No,
true,
maybe no, it's
true,
not so bad, but
but you guys actually, and I'm going to share a picture here. You guys actually have day jobs. You have normal working hours.
Morten has a night job, right?
I have a all the time job. I also did some portable work this weekend.
Yeah, but you.
I played with watts and frequencies.
But you get all of the fun, like artists and all the. You send so many nice things about like the people that have shows you work for.
Yeah.
All of the weird stuff that you would have to pay me to go to.
But it is. It's a fantastic job, but it kind of sometimes interferes with being able to do the hobby. Let's see here.
I will tell you this: when you talk about jobs that interfere with the hobby, I can't complain. My job got me to Poland for 1.5 years with a big backyard and all this. And I've operated in Hawaii thanks to my job. I've operated in Florida, Wisconsin thanks to my job, and I think I'm getting ready to go to Guam for a while. So imagine that, being able to be in the South Pacific.
Nice.
That is nice.
I'm fortunate. I'm very, 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 very lucky.
There are skeds in your future there, Walt. You need to set up some skeds when you go to Guam.
Yeah, I have a problem with like when I go to work trips. We do a lot of like social trips around, and they always think I'm weird bringing radios and setting them up antennas everywhere.
I get that.
So I did actually go very close to where DK50NV Günther here in chat lives earlier this year, but we didn't manage to meet up. But that's the fun thing. Like when you travel somewhere, you can just check on QRZ that, do I know anybody near here? Or is there a ham radio operator near here? You don't really need to know them to get a cup of coffee and just somebody to talk with.
And I see that Bert asked audio frequencies only about my job there, and not always, but yesterday was audio frequencies only, no wireless stuff yesterday. So, but it's nice, and I got to move the office outside yesterday for once, and I'm usually inside a big dark concert hall, so. Outside has its challenges, but it was really nice with the weather we're having now.
It's been extremely warm today. It's like 25 degrees Celsius.
Yeah. And
So-
there's also, you spoke a little bit before we started about the Canadian wildfires.
Yeah,
We
there's
have a
actually
really high probability for wildfires here as well.
Yeah, and there's actually a haze in the air here in Norway on the west coast, and that mimics what we saw with the big California wildfires in 2018. So most likely it's getting over here as well.
Yeah.
But outdoors it's just scarily dry. It's like I'm making care when I'm to not make sparks when I'm plugging in the radio. It's that kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's that way. It's that way here in Poland right now too. It's really dry. Although we're forecasted for rain here Thursday and Friday, I think. So we'll finally get a little bit of relief.
Yeah, as far as I looked in the weather forecast here, it's not going to rain for the next 10 days. So it's going to be dry for a while. And actually, there's a ban on every kind of fire outdoors at the moment. So I can't really cook when doing my portable operations anymore.
Yeah, I had a video come out this week about cooking while hiking, and that was quite interesting. And I did that luckily before the total ban on outdoors fire was announced. But I did get some cooking stuff now for cooking without fire, like chemical heaters that you're supposed to be able to use to make MREs and stuff like that. So that's possibly a future video here.
Did you took an MRE out with you, correct?
Yes. So it's Arctic Field Ration. It's a Norwegian military ration.
Right. I saw that. That was awesome.
Yeah, and the interesting part there is that they changed it very much over the last few years. There's no longer a plastic fork because the EU banned that.
Yeah, I tell you, the MREs we had back in the early '80s. I was over in Lebanon, and our MREs had the meal in it, and then inside it had this little box with 2 cigarettes and matches, so you could like. Seriously, our American MREs had 2 cigarettes and some matches in it, so you could I just had the best meal of my life. You know what I mean? I guess that was their way of making you enjoy the meal because it was horrible.
Just 2 things. First of all, we went a little bit overtime last week, so we probably should get back to topic at some point. And secondly, I see that you're sharing your screen, Tobias. Would you like me to put it up?
Yeah, sure. Let me do my antenna spiel, and then you can tell me what your favorite antenna is. Yeah. So this is basically a scrap part build, just what I had in the shack. Let me zoom in a bit. Just box standard PL 259, or no, SO 239. The PL is the plug, right? The SO is the socket. Yeah, just in order to build a ground plane, 1 wire up, 3 radials, and then basically you mount it on top of the pole. And since 15 meter, it's about something about 3 meter 50 lengths, the quarter wave. You basically are also not close to the ground, so it's about 3.5 meter up in the air before the ground plane starts. And I just had a look in MMANA. Since Tim is not with us, I will try to fill in, although I don't really know the program. So there are a lot of antennas in MMANA which you can just look at. So if you go open and go to the ANT folder, then you have all kinds of antennas already designed. So I just basically...
I learned something new now.
Yeah, so I basically just said, okay, what do I want? Simple, vertical, and then there was one in, I think, for 20 meter, and I just, changed the length or the lambda to basically say, okay, this is now the 15 meter variant, and this is what you get then. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of MMANA with the interface here, how to enter your antenna wires, but it certainly works. And this is what it shows you then as a far field diagram. So you can see, let me see. Yeah, here's the diagram with the takeoff angle. So nice and flat as you want it. 0.7 dBi. I mean, not super stunning, but as it's very flat takeoff angle, it definitely works. And the SWR I got with this, it was really scarily good, since it's not close to the ground. It's like 1 something showed the nano VNA on the resonance point. So that you can really get that this one to a good resonance. And this was for 15 meter. Yeah, on the.
What is the angle on the radio? I saw they look like they were.
I think it was just 45 degrees downwards. I could not really guarantee that in the field.
No, that's
but,
okay. How many? It's 3 radials.
Yeah, I just chose 3 because here there was a model readily made with 3. I could have also taken 4, but.
I'm trying to decide what antenna I'm going to build next. This is a candidate. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, the only con side is that you need to basically, since it's off the ground, right?
Yeah.
You need ropes at the end of your radials, and then have 3 additional spikes in the ground on top of whatever holds your mast up. So
I've got all that covered.
And so it takes a bit longer to pull up than an NFET half wave, but it definitely works.
I'll give you credit if I build this. I'll say that it was your idea.
Yeah, I don't have to give me credit for this.
No,
I just thought, what do I have in the shack? You know, what cables do I have? What scrap parts do I have lying around? And I thought, okay, let's try this.
I gotta tell you something else, to be honest with you. So I started in radio as far as transmitting probably about 1975 as a 13-year-old CB guy, and I always bought SO 239s and PL 239. I was today years old, thanks to you, that I realized PL meant plug and SO meant socket.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I really prefer BNC connectors, you know, because it's just so much easier to put on and to take off, and they are 50 ohms, while the PL 259 SO239 is not really a 50 ohm connector. So
70,
but
75,
I had it lying around, and the hole somehow matched the lugs I had here for the cable, so that's why I took it.
I mean, you always, and I'm just going to take your picture away for a little while here, Tobias, so people can see. But you always got to keep a couple of connectors on hand for those kind of projects.
Exactly. Yeah, I have a whole box, and I was thinking, do I take the BNC or the PL259? But then I said, okay, I don't have 5mm lugs for the BNC connector, so
that's the one thing. Anybody traveling, if you're going to travel and you're going to be gone for a long time, and so I've said this in my other videos, adapters, you know, all the BNC, the PL239, the SO239, the BNC.
Yeah, let me show you. I have a whole box here.
Travel. That's the most important thing you take with you if you're going to travel, because even if you you know, whatever. That is the biggest mistake I've ever made.
This is what you need as a ham, yeah. So.
See, you really don't need that big box. Of eBay, you get a set with SO, everything into SMA and out from SMA, and just this tiny little box. Tiny little box, and you can fix any problem. I keep that in my car. That's saved me more than once.
I think there was chocolates in there before. So,
and I see that Nathan comments, buy 10 of everything, since you're probably gonna need it again. And
or you lose the one, and then you are one short.
I did that on this little connector. It's a SMA right angle adapter. I still have 9 left. So there's not every kind of connector you need 10 of.
Yeah. But you have a long life ahead of you. So,
good points. Good points.
But I made the same antenna as you there, but I made it with 4 legs. I didn't do all the fancy calculations. I just use an online
me
calculator.
neither. I just used it as an example. If it's in the program, it will probably work. That's why I picked it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I'm sharing.
I was thinking about building that antenna today, but I was going to build it. I know it's not called a lazy L, but I was going to do a dipole and feed it at the bottom with the vertical up and angle the other one down, kind of like a really.
Yeah.
Let's do it this way, something like that.
Yeah.
And then aim it. That's kind of an idea I had for playing with an antenna. I thought about that today, and then it's so ironic that you showed that, because I was like, okay, why did I just add 2 more verticals and pull them out?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Pretty
shared
cool.
a photo, Morten.
I'm gonna put your picture up here.
Yeah. So this is the same kind of antenna, just with 4 of them. You can see here I'm just using some normal rope up there, roughly 45 degrees. Lots of annoying trees, but this is for 20 meters. So it's 5-point-something meters long. And I did actually, even if I measured it correctly, it was still a bit too long. Like I got the velocity factor wrong or something like that. So I had to do some trimming, because it was 1.000 resonant on 13 megahertz.
Yeah, I think when I started, I was 1 megahertz off, and then I started folding back wires, and it took a while. But once you're on the right lengths, it's fine.
Yeah,
that's why I always cut it a bit longer.
I just hit the ATU button.
just one thing. One of you guys have your mic a little bit too close to your nose. I'm not sure who it is.
Is that me?
I don't know, but it's picking up a little bit of breathing noises.
When I get excited. No.
We're talking about antennas, Morten. That happens.
Exactly. Yeah. Blood pressure rising.
It's like only hams, right?
Yeah.
Nathan says he also have 9s of lots of things, but when the zombies come, you might need it. So always keep your components.
Absolutely. Tim's here. Yeah,
listening with his AirPods, doing some house stuff. I actually got a message from Tim. He couldn't be with us today, but we'll make room for you at another point. And I see that a lot of you guys are sharing your screens, so I'm going to go to Bob here.
Yeah, that's the basically the same antenna that you talked about, Tobias and Kjetil. I just a few words on how I created mine. I also use 3 elevated radials. I tried modeling the difference between 2, 3, and 4, and from 3 to 4, it doesn't make any difference.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So
what about 1? What about 1? If you go with 1 radial, does it make it directional in the valley of the? I don't want to call it a lazy L, the sloping L.
It makes it directional in the order of maybe 1 decibel. So it's not really important, but it does make it directional. So if you want to drown something out, if you have noise behind you, it might be a good idea. If you just want an all-round antenna, I'd rather go with 3 and have the full 360. That would be my choice. And as for angles, if you manage 45 degrees on 3 elevator radials, you're going to get a perfect match on 50 ohms. So that's a way to adjust the feed point impedance.
ON3 STG Gert. No, I don't have the add-on. He asked me a question. It's hard for me to get in the chat. I'm sorry.
And Steve's here with or Nathan's here with the buddy pool discussion.
Go ahead, Morten.
Yeah, and actually, speaking about the buddy poll, we got kind of off track with my what I was going to say earlier. But I tried a different antenna today. I got to borrow it from a fellow ham here. I'm just going to share the screen here.
Somebody has.
And
it's me. The birds are me. That's the Polish birds.
It's the Chinese buddy poll. The JPC 12. I don't know if you guys have tried that.
Nope.
No. There's a couple of differences. It's somewhat close to the buddy pole design, even with the little bag.
Oh, I have that. I have that. Morten, you're giving away yet another one of my upcoming videos. Yeah, I have that. That's going out on the beach with me when I I get home. Probably the
Yeah,
first video
there's
I'll
a
do when I get back.
Yeah, there are four. Well, actually, there are ground radials on it, and there's a sliding coil instead of that tapping with a banana plug coil of the buddy stick. And I just tried this a little bit this afternoon in the yard, and it's really easy to tune. Made a QSO with 5 watts to France, and picked up a lot of stations on 15, and those were 2 bands I tried.
Yeah, I like that design better than the clamp that you have to manually pull on. Just sliding this thing up and down. It's probably much easier.
And it's easier to tune in the field. Nathan's got a buddy pole. He agrees with my video. So if you haven't seen that, I released a video earlier this week, just asking why everyone loves the buddy pole. Gert's got one and is very happy. I hope that's the JPC 12 and not the buddy pole. But if you're happy with the buddy pole, we're fine with that as well.
Tim says he's going to put up a 6.5 vertical with a Matt remote ATU. I really love watching Tim's videos when he uses the remote ATU. I want to build a 5/8 wave. I want to do it the easy way and not build. I think Stuart, or I'm trying to remember, somebody built a matchbox for a 5/8 wave vertical, and I would rather just use at the feed point. As a matter of fact, Tim and I think I messaged him. Me and him talked about feeding a 5/8 wave. I do that sometimes. That's my inside secret there. Those sketches you see me do, they don't go up until Tim looks at them. I'll say, Tim, what do you think of this? So am I an idiot? Or it's like, but yeah, I was thinking about doing a 5/8 wave for say 20 or whatever, and doing it with instead of matching it, doing it with a feed point ATU. So I'm looking forward to that, Tim. That's 6.5.
And the one with the matchbox for the 5/8 wave is Colin MM0.
Oh, Colin, that's right. I'm sorry, Colin. Colin
and he says that you can't fake physical antenna length, only electricity.
Speaking about Colin, I finally struck gold at Mauser and got the ferrite cores for the NFET half wave, the chunky ones. So I ordered 4 of the big ones and I think 2 of the smaller 63 or 61 variants that Evil Lair Electronics promoted. So they will show up next week. So there's more NFET halfway fun to be had soon.
But speaking about faking the length of the antenna, I'm perfectly aware of that. But there are some situations where it's really nice to have something compact and something that fits inside a backpack. And this is not going to be the only antenna I use for portable use, but it's going to be in my toolkit, whichever antenna I end up buying, to be able to use while I'm around people.
I'll tell you something, Morten. I'll tell you something, and this is a lesson learned from a Mac loop. If you fight with it, and you're getting it within like 1.5, 1.6 to 1, or you get it close, and you're just aggravated. Don't waste 15 or 20 minutes. You're missing QSOs. You got a 6100. Hit the ATU button and get on and go. You know what I mean? Like close enough. And people are probably going to crucify me for saying this, but seriously, I mean, it's not like you're 3 to 1 or 4 to 1. If you're under 2, and my philosophy is if I'm under say 1.8 or 1.7 to 1, and I'm like wasting time, I don't have time for that. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like,
if I'm under 2, I just press the PTT button.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I don't have a tune in the radio I normally take, and anything under 2 is good enough for me. I'll just start calling CQ.
Yeah. I guess when you have a bit practice with the magnetic loop, you can also tune it almost by ear because it's so narrow band that you just have to watch, the S meter or the background noise when the other station is not talking, and then you're pretty close already.
Yeah, speaking of magnetic loops, and first of all, the AL705. The tuning knob is so finicky that if you shake a little bit, you move the resonance point from 40 to 10 meters. and in addition to that, you're adding your own capacitance to the
Yeah.
antenna when you're trying to tune it. So that makes it a little bit tricky. But
There
have
were
any
some
of you guys-
guys. There were some guys playing ring toss on the beach the last time I had mine out on the beach. I had my loop, and I almost
Yep.
went over and said, "Try this big one." Yeah, I'll play.
but speaking about mag loops, have anyone of you guys tried the Oscar Mike Zero Echo Tango mag loop? That's supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah,
Never tried the mag loop.
Sorry,
What-
Never tried the mag loop at all. They look heavy. So for SOTA, no.
I want to build one for my backyard because I have almost never below 9s of a noise on 80 meters, 60 meters, so 1.6. It's just horrible. I want to try and see if a mag loop can help me with that. So I want to build one, haven't done it yet.
The coolest
what's your budget there, Bob?
Go ahead, Bob. Sorry.
My budget?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. If I can get rid of that noise, it's fairly high.
I'm just there is I just can't remember who makes it, but there's a British ham that makes auto tuner mag loops. They're really expensive, but they tune automatically, and that should be pretty much good for a backyard probably.
I'll tell you the coolest thing. The coolest thing that ever happened to me with my mag loop. I was on the beach in Virginia Beach, and I'm off. It's not right or whatever. And I call CQ, and somebody goes, "Uncle Walter, it's Uncle Gunter. Delta Q05." I was like, "Oh my God, I got Uncle Gunter." That really happened. Seriously, that really happened to me with my mag loop.
Yeah,
that's a moment I will always treasure. I got Uncle G on my mag loop. Man.
That's a big win.
I was done. My wife was sitting next to me. She goes, "You've got an uncle in Germany?" I said, "Yes, Uncle G."
Of course, everybody has one.
But I was like, it really
Günther's in the chat with us, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think I saw him earlier.
Yeah, but I mean, all joking aside, that was a really one of those, those awesome, cool moments in ham radio. I was like, "Oh man, that was awesome." You know what I mean? I'm talking to Uncle Gunther.
and I saw that video. There's a suggestion here that we should invite Paul, Oscar Mike Zero Echo Tango, to the stream, and we should do that and have him talk about his antennas on stream instead of us trying to figure out if his antennas are any good or not.
I guess everybody who would like to join in and have something to present, feel free to just ask us. Just send us a message on Discord or whatever.
If you look down in the description, I think the link is in the description of this week's video. I'm not sure if I remembered, but if not, I'll make sure to get it in there. Send us a message there. Send us an email. We're good on QRZ, most of us, I think. I know that one guy is considering removing his email address from QRZ.
I put it back.
I
You know what I do now? I just don't answer the sad hams. I just ignore them. Like, throw it in the garbage.
Are you getting the requests for confirmation on QRZ.com? Is that the reason, or?
No. I do that myself. There's people that I'll send a request for confirmation because a lot of people log me wrong. They'll log K4OGO and not Sierra Papa K4OGO. And I'll get the thing. So I'll take where I logged. I log with QRZ. So I'll take where I logged them and send it back to them with the Sugar Papa stroke. Like yesterday, I got someone logged me as K4OGO stroke SP. And then I just, instead of because I can't log it. I don't have a log for that. I instead hit the thing. And then they obviously fixed it and logged it back. And I got the star, for that one. So, But
you probably send one reminder, because one QSO I got one every day for a week, and I think that's a bit over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only do it one time, just one time. Yeah. Hey, I don't care. I'm not like I don't contest. I'm like I until recently I did a video about it. I did have a thing. If I'm going to spend a year and a half in Europe, I'm going to get the Master of Europe award. I did that. I mean, that was important to me. I don't even have all 50 states in America, and I don't have the Master of North America. But I have the master of Europe because this is the European ham radio show.
Yeah, I'm missing 2 U.S. states, and I think that's Oklahoma and South Dakota. For somehow I can reach all of the other states, but not those 2.
I'll hurt your
So-
feelings. I got South Dakota logged with a star next to it from Poland.
And Beamy actually says that there should be a 40-meter TEHRS viewers after hour. And we could probably make that happen. Not today, I think, but we could probably schedule an HF net if people are.
That would be
interested in
cool.
that.
Now I understand nets. I've got it. It's all in the can. I'm on the fence whether I want to put it up or not because I don't want to offend anybody in Europe. But Friday night I got on 40, and it was on 3 different frequencies. There was music being broadcast. There was just people stepping over everybody or whatever. And I was good. I've got it pretty much done, but I was going to do this video of why I don't operate 40 meters in Europe. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's probably because where I'm at in Europe, I'm so heavily dominated on 40 meters by the Ukraine and the Russians. Like the other night, like these Russians and Ukrainians, you could tell they were going back and forth. I don't speak a word of either language, but they were playing like we will rock you, you know what I mean, in the background. And I do know some of the bad words in Russian, and you could hear them like, saying, derogatory things back and forth. And I was going to put that video up, and I'm struggling with myself right now whether to put that video up because like if I was in the UK, I'd probably be on 40 meters all the time. But being all the way over, and my Polish friends correct me all the time. At this side of Central Europe, I'm next to Eastern Europe, and the Eastern Europeans they don't play very nice on 40 meters. Maybe that's what I should call the video. Living next to Eastern Europe.
Does anyone play nice on 40? Every time I try to go to 40, it's just wall to wall of people going on top of each other.
Right.
Yeah, but that's because you don't have a big enough PA. But I think you try operating.
That's a good point, and I'll put that in the video because I'm sitting here with 20 watts in Poland next to Belarus, Russia, and for that matter, and like I said, I love the Polish people. I love them, and I love Poland, and my Polish is getting a little bit better, but I'm not good enough yet in Polish to complete a QSO in Polish, and I don't want to that's why I'm struggling whether I want to put the video up or not, because I don't want to put a video up and piss off the people that I've friended for the last year and a half. You know what I mean? It's like, it's hard, so whatever. Hey, you know what? And Tim, on 40 meters, I heard Tim and came back to him, and it was some clown rebroadcasting his live stream. He recorded Tim. I hear that with Colin all the time. I've also heard it with Tim, and it's just, I hear that on 40 meters, and I'm like, at least in North America, we only have one frequency, 7.2. Stay off of that in North America. That's where all our clowns are. You know what I mean? Like, they all camp out there and talk about Donald Trump all night. It's what they do. And it's like, and argue back and forth about it. But in North America, 40 meters is a little bit more structured. But in North America, 40 meters is, I always call it the graveyard of nets. And if you're not in the buddy system of the guys running the network, sometimes they don't even acknowledge you. It's kind of hard.
I think that's 80 meters for us here in Germany.
That's 80 meters here as well.
Yeah, I was told to get off a net once because I wasn't local. They could hear me well enough, but I was not local, so I was told to leave. But speaking about some former US presidents there, before your last election, there was a lot of propaganda being broadcast from east of us here over to the States with proper American intonation and everything. Like, it was a proper American broadcast, but it was clearly broadcast from the east there. And quite interesting to listen to on 40 meters.
I bet. You know what? I was here in Poland when Russia invaded the Ukraine, and I remember that first week or 2 weeks listening to 40 meters. Then I actually did a video about it back then, and listening to, it was like the Ukrainians, which, God bless them, I kind of understand why they were doing it. They were asking for help. They were asking for people to go to GoFundMe because they wanted to get transmitters to jam the Russians and stuff like that. And I heard all kind of stuff on there back then, and I get that to an extent. But at the end of the day, it's the amateur band. Go, go jam the Russian, the pip or the squeaker, go over there and play with, and that you're probably getting more out of that if you're trying to battle them than getting over here where people like the five of us are trying to talk to each other across Europe. It's frustrating. So I don't know if I'm gonna put this video up. I'm really thinking about it. I actually talked about it at the end of the video I put up today, that the 40 meters is a whole other thing for me. It's just really frustrating. And even in the States, I'm a 20 through 10 meter guy. I mean, 20 meters is my band. I probably do more. If you look at the video I put up today, I do more on 20. 20 is always open, always. Mm-hmm. I got my license at the bottom of the solar cycle, and I could get on 20 and talk around the world. I mean, it's the band for me. And antennas. Although they're a little bit bigger, they're a 5 meter pole. You can build a 20 meter ground plane with it. It's just I love 20 meters. I really do. And I've heard some people here in Europe, even in the UK, say they hate 20 meters because the people on 20 meters. So I don't know. It is what it is.
But 20 is a manageable band in regards of antenna size, and that's actually pretty much why people like it, I think. Bert's got a question. If 40 is double as wide as in the US as in Europe, and it's not quite double as wide.
No, but it is bigger. We got all the way up to 7.3. We talked about this last week, I think. I get up early. I'm an early morning guy. I get up early in the morning, and I talk when I'm in the States. I talk to VK and ZL in the mornings, very early before the sun comes up. But the problem is, when you're on 40 there, you got to stay below 7.2, because even in the States, we can get like Radio Australia or whatever, just booming in, between 7.2 and 7.3, even though we have that available to each other. I think 7.2 and 7.3 in the States is more of it's more local. You don't get on, and I think a lot of American hams don't realize that. I heard an American ham on like 7.25 calling CQDX. I'm like, what are you trying to get, Canada? That's about all you're going to get. You know what I mean?
And we talked a little bit about QSL cards. I see that you put one up here. Kjetil.
Yeah, this is the nicest SVL card I gotten. Shortwave listener. It's from a Russian fishing boat. Or something like
fishing boat. Yeah.
So he was listening, and he was listening to QSO with between me and some, for example, David down here, and he was doing SVL SOTA while listening for Russian military somewhere in the Baltic Gulf of Finland. That's one of the nicest QSL cards I've ever gotten.
And cool. that is actually I see we're getting close to the hour mark, and I think we're I think we're gonna stick to the hour, although we could probably talk longer. But I got
another show
tomorrow.
Next week.
I got tomorrow and Tuesday off, but people working regular hours probably gotta go to work on Mondays.
Yes. Some of us have to do that. And some of us have to pay way too much to the car people tomorrow to get it fixed.
One is going to the TEHRS as well.
Yeah, so it's like, I could say it's an Icon 7300 level.
While we're there, we talked last week about the Q900 or the FT891.
Yeah.
I'm going to get an 891. I'm taking the advice. I'm going to follow your advice and get everybody here. I was outvoted 4-1. I'm going to do it.
You're going to love that radio. I promise you. You're going to love that radio.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to order it next week. I'm ordering it. Well, I'm going to wait till about 7 days before I go back to the States, because it'd be nice to get to the front box before my wife does. And I was someone sent me this.
I'm actually just gonna give a little bit of comment to Jeff here. That is probably correct, and there's actually there's been a Scandinavian documentary on that that tracked the AIS data of Russian fishing vessels, and they seem to always be suspiciously close to underwater installations or NATO vessels along the coast. So there's probably some truth in that. But there was one article that kind of in that series that kind of caught my attention because I found an old shortwave radio in one of the boats, and that was supposed to be proof that it was military communications. And I mean, there could be just a ham on the boat.
Yeah.
There's one guy here that works for NATO, and all I gotta say is no comment.
Yeah. They said about that radio, like it was a normal ship's radio for 10 meters, and they said it had the range to reach all over the Baltic Sea. Yeah, for a 100-watt radio, and that was proof it was like a spy radio. So the press was going berserk with this stuff.
They should just get a G90 and Mars mod it. They can reach all over the Baltic.
Okay. Yeah.
But thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back next week with some kind of topic.
Yeah, we didn't really stick to it this time, did we? We just talked, but that was wonderful. This is a good show.
We have actually talked antennas this time, though. We've been on topic. Yeah. Last week we spent about 48 minutes to get on topic. So,
but we finally came to a resolution. I'm getting the 891. We talked about
that. I see that. Good. I see that BB comments that Tim should send us an email. We've already been in touch with Tim, but he wasn't available today, so that's why he hasn't been on. And if anyone watching now or later wants to be on and talk about anything, please feel free. And Stu, login systems.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
We need
yes.
Stu. We need Stu.
And Stu.
I'm Team Stu. I'm Team Stu. We need G5 STU on here.
Yeah, we do. We need a software developer that actually is making a logger. So Stu, send some of us a message on Discord, and we'll make sure to have you on.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yep.
And it's finally nice to have a EU live chat. So happy to make that happen. We're going to wrap up. Stu is on next week. Then we know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Station Master next week.
There you go.
Excellent.
With Stu.
Excellent.
I can't even use Discord halfway good yet. Stu got to give me some pointers to get off the QRZ logging. And so this will be a good one for me.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week, same time. Until next week, 7-3.